The world shifted with a shudder, sudden and complete. One moment. Ayaan Voidcrest senses were anchored to earth. The familiar cacophony of traffic and wind in his hair. The metallic scrape and screech of a vehicle out of control. The unbearable sensation of inevitability. And then nothing. Darkness swallowed him. And for a heartbeat, he was suspended in a void, a liminal space where time had no meaning, where reality felt like a memory rather than a certainty. When his awareness returned, it was to something profoundly alien. He opened his eyes and found himself standing in the center of a dense forest, so tall, so impossibly alive, that the sky seemed distant and unreal. Light filtered in fragmented rays through the interwoven canopy above, painting the forest floor in shifting patterns of green and gold. The air was thick with magic, an almost tactile energy that hummed faintly against his skin. The scent of moss and earth filled his lungs, yet there was a metallic tang hidden within, faint but persistent, hinting at untapped resources beneath the forest soil. Before him was a small, walled clearing, its perimeter barely intact, stones cracked and moss-grown. 3 villagers huddled near a collapsing wooden shed, their faces pale, eyes wide with confusion, terror, and disbelief. They held simple farming tools, sticks, and crude hoes, their grip trembling as if the tools themselves could shield them from some unseen threat. The wall itself was half broken, some sections lying in ruin, others barely standing. Beyond it, the forest seemed both protective and menacing, a cradle and a cage in the same breath. Ayaan immediately understood, not through instinct alone, but through an awareness that now thrummed within him. This was a starting territory, a seed of potential. Black Iron Rank 1, the lowest rank possible for a newly awakened lord, but a seed that could grow into a mountain, a fortress, an empire. A soft chime rang in his mind, crystalline yet commanding. The Infinite Legion point system activated. Points began to accrue in real time, unrelenting, visible only to him. 1 point per second, 60 per minute, 3,600 per hour, 86,400 per day. It was a rhythm, a heartbeat, a promise. Each second, a step closer to dominance. Each point, a building block in an army beyond ordinary human comprehension. Ayaan's eyes scanned the broken clearing, and he began to imagine not just the soldiers themselves, but the order they would bring, the coordination, the perfect loyalty, the absence of doubt or hesitation that plagued every other lord in this brutal world. Others would face mutiny, fear, corruption, rebellion, morale collapse. Not him. For him, every soldier summoned under this system would obey perfectly, adapt instantly, grow relentlessly, and in time, evolve into heroes. Ayaan closed his eyes and let his mind extend through the system. The first unit emerged from the mist of possibility. 30 Black Iron Rank 1 soldiers, armor scratched but solid, helmets reflecting the fragmented sunlight, eyes burning with a kind of unwavering focus that no ordinary training could create. They formed perfect lines, silent yet commanding presence that shifted the energy of the clearing. The villagers gasped, some stepping back in instinctive awe. The world around him seemed to respond to this new order, the forest air tingling, the ground beneath faintly humming. Ayaan surveyed each soldier's posture, the space and the alignment, and found it flawless. It was as if a chessboard had come to life, every piece perfectly poised for action. For the rest of the day, Ayaan orchestrated every detail. Villagers were assigned tasks based on aptitude. Some repaired the broken wall, others gathered fallen wood, while a few scouted the immediate forest perimeter. He sent small squads of soldiers to survey the terrain further, collecting intelligence on potential resource nodes. Their reports revealed small veins of iron, patches of fertile soil, and hidden clearings where traps could be laid or structures raised. Every observation, every movement, added to a mental map, a strategic blueprint of both defense and expansion. He pondered the system's mechanics in detail. Point accumulation, summon costs, soldier ranks. Black Iron Rank 1 soldiers cost 10 points each. Black Iron Rank 9, 100. Bronze units, exponentially higher. Yet the rate at which points flowed, the speed of accumulation, made even the highest ranks attainable within days or weeks if managed intelligently. He considered logistics, food, materials, fortifications, and realized that strategy was not only about soldiers or magic, but about careful preparation, economy, and vision. Most new lords would fail simply because they did not understand the interplay between loyalty, resources, and timing. Ayaan now had all three working in tandem, a silent advantage that, if leveraged correctly, could make him untouchable. As dusk approached, he walked along the edge of the clearing, feeling the forest's subtle vibrations, listening to the wind whisper through leaves. A pack of wolves stirred faintly among the shadows. The forest was alive, and he was no longer a visitor. He was a lord, beginning his journey. Tomorrow, the first true test would come. The first monster scouts would probe the edges, the first threat to his fledgling kingdom, and he would be ready. Night began to stretch over the clearing, casting long, soft shadows beneath the canopy of the young forest. The villagers moved cautiously along the rough wooden walls, glancing nervously at the distant rustled leaves, their hands trembling around crude farming tools. To them, every sound was a potential threat, but Ayaan Voidcrest, standing atop the central mound of the territory, was calm. His mind scanned every detail. The terrain, the positions of the villagers, and the faint movement of creatures at the edge of the forest. He opened the Infinite Legion system interface in his mind, the familiar hum of the summoning interface washing over him. In mere seconds, he calculated the points accumulated since his awakening that morning. 1 point per second, roughly 8 hours of elapsed time. 28,800 system points. Each Black Iron Rank 9 soldier cost only 100 points. A simple division gave him 288 soldiers at his immediate disposal. Soldiers that required no rest, no food, and whose loyalty was absolute. Unlike other lords, who would have to toil for months to raise even a fraction of that force, he could deploy an unstoppable army with a thought. With a quiet gesture of his will, the ground trembled slightly, and one by one, all 288 Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers materialized around him. They formed instantly into a perfect perimeter, each unit in precise formation, scanning for threats, their black armor gleaming faintly under the moonlight. Ayaan observed them carefully, adjusting positions with subtle gestures, commanding rotations, patrols, and observation points. Not a single soldier faltered. Not a single soldier disobeyed. Then the wolves arrived. Minor packs emerged from the surrounding forest, curious scouts, Black Iron Rank 2 to 3. Even the head wolves, Rank 5, were small in comparison to his army. They hesitated at the edge of the clearing, sniffing the air, sensing the unnatural presence of an overwhelming force. Ayaan's soldiers moved with fluid precision. Archers took positions on raised terrain. Spearmen and melee units filled the gaps, and traps laid along forest paths snapped into readiness. With a silent command, the first wave of Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers advanced. Wolves lunged instinctively, but it was over almost before it began. Rank 2 wolves were cut down in a heartbeat. Rank 3 packs were surrounded and neutralized without losses. Even the Rank 5 head wolves, once fierce predators, were swiftly subdued, captured, or chased back into the shadows of forest. There was no struggle, no panic, only a flawless demonstration of tactical supremacy. Ayaan watched as his army cleared the immediate area around his territory, patrolling the perimeter and removing any lurking threats. Fallen trees, overgrown underbrush, and minor wild beasts were all systematically neutralized or repurposed for fortifications. Scouts were sent to map nearby resource clusters, iron veins glimmering faintly under moss, fertile soil for cultivation, and fresh water streams suitable for the villagers' long-term use. Each discovery was cataloged, every potential hazard noted for traps or defensive planning. The villagers emerged from behind their walls, awestruck. Their first night in this new world had been tense, but now, as they observed hundreds of elite soldiers clearing the forest with effortless efficiency, fear was replaced by wonder. Children peeked from behind walls, mouths open, while elders whispered among themselves about the strength of their lord. One thing was clear. No ordinary lord could command such absolute control, and in this clearing, Ayaan was already untouchable. By nightfall, the clearing had been secured, the surrounding forest edges patrolled, and the first mapping of resources completed. System notifications indicated full resource awareness, and minor rewards for clearing and fortifying the territory perimeter. Ayaan allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This was not a test of his strength, but demonstration, a calculated preparation for the day when true challenges will arrive, when newbie protection ended, and when neighboring lords or larger monster waves tested the territory. In this quiet triumph, Ayaan Voidcrest realized something crucial. In this world, power was measured not only in brute force, but in foresight, control, and the clever use of resources. And in all three, he was already light years ahead of anyone else. The morning sun stretched over the clearing, scattering soft golden light over the freshly cleared forest edges. Ayaan Voidcrest surveyed his territory from a mound at the center, the newly summoned Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers already moving in perfect unison. Some patrolled the perimeter, while others carried small crates of gathered iron, ore, timber, and fresh water from nearby streams to the village. The villagers watched in awe, their fear slowly giving way to admiration. Each movement of the soldiers was deliberate, controlled, a demonstration that no corner of the territory would be neglected. With a few gestures, Ayaan summoned another wave of soldiers to assist with resource gathering. Within minutes, hundreds of Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers were carrying supplies, scouting nearby hills, clearing fallen trees, and securing iron veins for mining. Each resource node was cataloged and assessed. Fertile soil patches marked for farming, wood-heavy areas reserved for construction, and streams set as reliable water sources for the villagers. No energy was wasted. No soldier faltered. While other newbie lords struggled to train a handful of troops and had to feed, rotate, and discipline them, Ayaan's army executed flawlessly, multiplying the territory's productivity many times over. As he oversaw operations, he opened the Lord System interface for the first time. This system was a communication network connecting every lord across the realm, a platform to trade resources, share intelligence, form alliances, or simply socialize. Ayaan scrolled through the newbie lord group chat and could not help but smirk. Messages scrolled endlessly. Lords panicking over insufficient food for their troops, debating how to train soldiers, or fretting over the fact that newbie protection would expire in just 6 days. One message read, Asterisk, I only have 12 soldiers trained so far. How will we survive the first monster wave? Asterisk, another lord replied, Asterisk, iron and wood are low. We might not upgrade territory in time. Asterisk, Ayaan quietly observed, noting their worry, their lack of strategy, and the inefficiency that had already placed them at a disadvantage. With a few keystrokes, he sent an innocuous greeting to the chat. Asterisk, good luck, everyone. May your strategies be sound. Asterisk, he smiled to himself, knowing that with his soldiers, loyalty, and foresight, his territory would be fully prepared long before any of these lords even completed basic training. Turning his attention back to the forest, Ayaan directed another task. Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers formed teams to patrol the surrounding hills, clearing minor Black Iron Rank 2 to 3 packs, and mapping small clusters of Rank 5 headwolves lurking in distant glades. Even with the highest threat in the newbie area, a single soldier could clear them all, but Ayaan preferred to teach his soldiers to operate independently, testing formations, rotations, and response times. This small exercise ensured every unit could act on instinct while still following his strategic command. By the 3rd day since awakening, his Black Iron Rank 1 territory had already been upgraded to Rank 3. With resource nodes fully exploited, patrols mapped, and villagers confident in their lord. Rewards for being first to upgrade a territory rank began to appear. Small chests containing rare materials, additional system points, and blueprints for basic fortifications. Ayaan cataloged each item carefully, storing them for future strategic advantage. As evening fell, the first night in this organized and fortified territory began to calm the villagers. Ayaan watched the patrols, the moonlight glinting off black armor, the forest now silent and secure. For him, this was only the beginning. 6 days remained until newbie protection ended, and the first monster wave would arrive. But with hundreds of elite soldiers at his command, fully loyal and always ready, he knew his territory would survive, and he would emerge far ahead of every other lord scrambling to prepare. The clearing seemed almost serene, the quiet punctuated by the soft chatter of the system notifications and the subtle movements of soldiers ensuring no threat went unnoticed. Ayaan allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. While other lords worried and flailed, he had already prepared, mapped, and secured every inch of his territory. In this new world, foresight, calculation, and perfect execution were the keys to survival, and he held them all. By the fourth day, the forest around Ayaan Voidcrest territory no longer resembled the chaotic wilderness of his arrival. What had once been a fragile black iron rank 1 clearing hidden beneath dense ancient trees had transformed into a disciplined and expanding stronghold. Wide forest paths had been carved clean through the surrounding woodland. Outer patrol routes stretched in perfect circles. Wooden palisades had doubled in height. Watch posts had been raised on elevated mounds. The nearby iron vein had already been fully marked into extraction zones. Small streams had been redirected into primitive irrigation channels. Everything was efficient. Everything was calculated. Everything moved according to his will. Hundreds of black iron rank 9 soldiers moved across the territory in absolute order. Some chopped timber from the surrounding forest. Some mined iron or from exposed rocky hills. Others carried stone blocks from the riverbeds. Several squads expanded farmland by uprooting trees and clearing fertile black soil. Not a single command needed repeating. Not a single soldier slowed down. Not one required sleep, rest, food, morale boosting, or discipline. This was the true horror of Ayaan's infinite legion system. For other lords, a soldier was an investment. For him, a soldier was an extension of thought itself. And because every black iron rank 9 unit cost only 100 points, his growing point reserve allowed him to summon more every few minutes if necessary. By now, the point generation itself had become one of his favorite weapons. 1 point per second, 60 per minute, 3,600 every hour. Even while he slept, or rather while his territory continued functioning flawlessly through his soldiers, the system never stopped generating strength. The more time passed, the stronger his advantage became. As he stood atop the newly constructed watch platform, Ayaan looked down at the busy stronghold beneath him and silently calculated the remaining requirements for the next territory breakthrough. Wood, complete. Stone, sufficient. Iron, excess. Water, secured. Farmland, stable. Outer perimeter safety, fully clear within 3 kilometers. Villager morale, high. Upgrade conditions met. A golden system notification appeared before him. Territory upgrade available. Black iron rank 4, black iron rank 5. Ayaan did not hesitate. With a thought, he confirmed the upgrade. The territory core at the center of the clearing began to glow. A low vibration spread through the earth. The wooden walls thickened. The defensive radius expanded. The villagers gasped as the land itself shifted. Storage capacity increased. The Lord Hall Foundation widened. 2 new resource warehouses automatically materialized beside the existing huts. The watchtower platforms reinforced themselves with ironwood beams. Even the roads between structures became smoother, more organized, almost as if the world itself acknowledged the rise of superior lord. Then the second notification appeared. Global Newbie announcement. First Lord to reach Black Iron rank 5, Ayaan Voidcrest. Reward, Black Iron Milestone Chest X1. Bonus, Beginner Prestige plus 100. Regional fame increased. The Lord system chat exploded instantly. Messages flooded across the interface faster than Ayaan could scroll. What? Someone already reached rank 5. Impossible. I'm still trying to gather enough wood for rank 2. Who is Ayaan Voidcrest? Did he awaken a top-tier Lord talent? How did he gather resources as fast? Is he trading? Is he cheating? We still have 6 days before newbie protection ends, and this guy is already rank 5? Ayaan read the chaos with quiet amusement. This was exactly what he wanted. Not fear, not arrogance, but pressure. The moment other lords realized how far ahead someone already was, they would become desperate. Desperation created mistakes. Mistakes created openings. And openings created future territory expansion opportunities. But more importantly, it concealed the true scale of his advantage. Even now, none of them understood the terrifying truth. They believed he was merely efficient. None of them knew he commanded an army of hundreds of Black Iron rank 9 soldiers that required zero maintenance. None of them knew his territory functioned 24 hours a day at maximum efficiency. None of them knew his army size was still increasing every second. At the center of the upgraded territory, a dark iron chest materialized in a pillar of light, the black iron milestone chest. Ayaan descended the watchtower and approached it slowly. The villagers instinctively gathered behind him. Even they could feel the importance of this reward. When he opened it, a pulse of dark metallic light burst outward. Inside were 3 items: a black iron wall blueprint, a basic arrow tower blueprint, and most importantly, a resource multiplier token, capable of doubling one active mining or logging zone for 72 hours. Ayaan's eyes narrowed slightly. Now this was useful. Without hesitation, he assigned the multiplier token to the iron mining zone. The nearby or output would now double for 3 full days. This single reward would accelerate future wall reinforcements, weapon crafting, and tower construction far beyond ordinary newbie standards. He could already see the next 6 days unfolding in his mind. By the time newbie protection ended, his territory would no longer be merely ahead. It would be untouchable. That night, while the villagers celebrated the miraculous upgrade, Ayaan returned once more to the Lord System chat. The atmosphere had changed. Fear had deepened. Several newbie lords were now openly discussing alliance possibilities. Some begged for trade. Some asked for advice on surviving the first monster wave. Others speculated that the first wave might contain black iron rank 4 to 5 beasts, enough to destroy most unprepared territories. Ayaan quietly absorbed every piece of information. Every frightened sentence revealed another lord's weakness: poor with supply, low soldier morale, weak troop ranks, no wall fortifications, no water source, no traps. He was not just reading messages. He was reading future opportunities. And as moonlight washed over his rapidly growing stronghold, Ayaan Voidcrest looked toward the silent forest beyond the walls. 6 days remained. The first real wave was coming. And when it did, this region would finally understand what kind of monster had awakened among them. The 5th day after awakening began with a silence that felt different. It was no longer the silence of an untouched forest. It was a silence of territory, of control, of dominance. From the highest watchtower, Black Iron Rank 5 territory, Ayaan Voidcrest watched dawn spread across the surrounding woodland like flowing gold. The land beyond his walls had changed. The forest paths cleared by his soldiers now stretched far into the nearby hills. Mining teams had expanded from 1 iron node into 3 active extraction points. The farmland plots had doubled in size overnight. New wooden barracks were under construction. The basic arrow tower blueprint obtained from the milestone chest had already been deployed into 2 elevated positions overlooking the northern and eastern approaches. And with the 72-hour resource multiplier still active on the primary mine, iron reserves were rising at an absurd speed. By normal newbie standards, his territory had already reached the level of a small fortress. Yet Ayaan's attention was not on the walls. It was on the Lord System. The group chat had become far more active after the previous night's global announcement. Messages now moved at a constant pace. Some were filled with panic, some with envy, and some with opportunity. A private communication request blinked before him. Private Lord channel request, Roland Ashvale. Ayaan accepted. The projection of a young man in dark leather armor appeared before him. His expression composed but careful. Lord Ayaan, Roland said politely, congratulations on becoming first in the region to reach rank 5. Ayaan said nothing. He simply watched. Roland continued. Several nearby lords are discussing temporary cooperation before newbie protection ends. Shared monster scouting, resource trades, blueprint exchanges. We believe the first wave may be stronger than expected. Ayaan's expression remained unreadable. Inside, however, his thoughts moved quickly. So it had begun. The first alliance web. This was how Lord factions were born. Weak territories naturally clustered together for survival. The problem was obvious. Every alliance was also a source of information leakage. Ayaan had no intention of exposing the true scale of his military advantage. Still, alliances had uses, trade routes, scouting range expansion, shared regional intelligence, and most importantly, blueprint access. Some lords would naturally receive beginner blueprints he lacked, barracks upgrades, trap blueprints, farm enhancements, water purification wells, road reinforcement structures. Even low-rank wall enhancements would still be valuable. So instead of rejecting Roland, Ayaan gave a measured reply. Temporary cooperation is acceptable. Intelligence exchange only. No troop movement near my outer territory perimeter. Roland visibly relaxed. Agreed. The projection faded. Immediately afterward, several more requests appeared. A lord specializing in farming requested iron for food surplus. Another had discovered a stone quarry but lacked enough woodcutters. A third claimed to possess a basic trap blueprint and wanted to trade for monster hides. Ayaan smiled faintly. This was the real value of the Lord system. It was not merely communication. It was a network of human weakness. Every trade requests exposed scarcity. Every blueprint offered exposed strategic direction. Every plea for alliance revealed fear. And fear was information. By noon, Ayaan had completed his first 3 trades. Excess iron from the boosted mining zone was exchanged for a basic spike trap blueprint, a water well blueprint, high-grade beast leather from another lord's hunting zone. None of these trades weakened him, because his mining speed was already several times higher than theirs. To them, it was expensive. To him, it was efficient conversion. Meanwhile, his soldiers continued expanding the outer exploration radius. By now, the surrounding 5-kilometer zone had been almost fully mapped. The forests of the west contained a rocky ravine rich in stone. The northern slope had a denser concentration of black iron rank 3 wolves. The eastern woodland held a small ruined outpost. That final discovery immediately caught Ayaan's attention. A ruin in a Newbie zone usually meant one thing: blueprint fragments, possibly even hidden resource chests. He immediately dispatched 50 black iron rank 9 soldiers in a silent exploration unit. Their mission was simple: secure the ruin, clear all monsters, recover every fragment. As the soldiers vanished into the forest, Ayaan opened the Newbie group chat once more. The atmosphere had worsened. I only have 20 rank 1 soldiers. How we survive 6 days later? Do monsters attack walls first or villagers first? My troops lost loyalty after yesterday's hunt. What do I do? I heard the first wave can include black iron rank 5 elites. Someone said ruins contain blueprints. Has anyone found one? Ayaan read each message carefully. Other lords were still trapped in basic survival thinking. They worried about troop morale, food, training time, sleep cycles, fear. Their soldiers were human. His soldiers were war machines. That single difference had already created an impossible gap. As evening approached, the ruined scouting squad returned. No casualties. Expected. The report was simple. The ruin had been guarded by a black iron rank 4 wolf pack and a single rank 5 alpha. Erased instantly. Recovered items. Ruined watchtower blueprint fragment X2. Stone wall blueprint fragment X1. Small resource chest X1. Ayaan's eyes sharpened. This was bigger than a normal ruin. If completed, the watchtower blueprint could evolve into an advanced scouting structure before Newbie protection even ended. His mind instantly began calculating the required fragment count. The forest was no longer just a resource zone. It had become a blueprint battlefield. And somewhere beyond the mapped hills, other ambitious lords were surely beginning their own searches. Tonight, under the silver moonlight, Ayaan stood atop the tower and looked toward the distant darkness. The first monster wave was still 6 days away, but the real race had already begun. Not survival, not defense, but growth. Whoever controlled the ruins would control the future of this region. And Ayaan Voidcrest had no intention of letting anyone catch up.
The 6th morning after awakening arrived beneath a sky of pale silver mist. The forest beyond Ayaan Voidcrest's black iron rank 5 territory had become far less innocent than it appeared. What was once merely wilderness was now contested ground. Every ruin, every quarry, every stream, every abandoned watch post, all of it had become potential power. And power, in the Eternal Lord's realm, always attracted eyes. Ayaan stood atop the eastern watchtower, the unfinished, ruined watchtower blueprint fragment hovering in translucent form before him. 2 fragments recovered. Several more required. Enough to evolve his scouting range into something far superior before Newbie protection ended. His thoughts were interrupted by the return of an outer patrol unit. 20 Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers moved through the gates in perfect order, their armor stained with dust, but otherwise untouched. The squad captain kneeled. "My lord, Western Ruin sector mapped. Monster presence eliminated. Signs of recent human activity confirmed." Ayaan's eyes narrowed slightly. So it had started. Other lords had begun their own ruin hunts. He calmly reviewed the patrol memory feed through the Infinite Legion interface. Broken footprints, a snapped branch, a discarded low-grade spearhead, and most importantly, the crude boot markings of human militia, likely ordinary newbie soldiers. Weak, poorly disciplined, and nowhere near Black Iron Rank 9. Still, the discovery changed everything. This was no longer simple exploration. This was now a race for infrastructure supremacy. Ayaan immediately shifted priorities. Instead of broad resource expansion, he issued a new strategic command. Secure all ruin zones within 10 kilometers. Within minutes, over 100 Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers moved out in silent specialized squads. Some headed west toward the ravine outposts. Others moved north toward an abandoned stone relay platform discovered during previous scouting. Another unit swept east toward a partially buried shrine structure. Their objective was simple. Arrive first, kill everything, retrieve every fragment. No delays, no negotiations. Meanwhile, Ayaan opened the Lord system. The Newbie regional chat had changed again. The tone was no longer fear alone. Now there was suspicion. Someone cleared the Western Wolf ruin before my troops got there. Same here. North Stone relay already emptied. Who is moving this fast? I lost 3 soldiers at a ruin yesterday. Are you guys even strong enough to compete? Stop hiding ruin locations. We need alliance trust. Ayaan almost smiled. The pressure was working exactly as expected. Because while the weaker lords were still arguing over fairness, he was already systematically locking down the region's most valuable blueprint routes. Soon enough, another private message arrived. This one from Celine Voss, a nearby lord who had previously traded beast leather. Her tone was far more direct. "Lord Ayaan, I suspect someone is monopolizing ruin zones. Would you be interested in coordinated ruin clearing?" Interesting. A smart lord. Unlike the others, she had already realized the true battlefield had shifted from survival to acceleration. Ayaan considered for a moment before replying. Information exchange only. Share discovered ruin coordinates. Loot ownership remains first clear basis. A pause. Then, agreed. Good. Useful. Celine had just unknowingly become an outer information node. As the day progressed, reports flooded back. The Western Ravine ruin yielded. Stone Wall Blueprint Fragment X2. Arrow Tower Reinforcement Fragment X1. The Northern Relay Platform. Watch Fire Beacon Fragment X1. Minor Storage Upgrade Blueprint X1. The Buried Eastern Shrine. Rare Territory Core Enhancement Fragment X1. That final item froze Ayaan's thoughts for half a second. A rare core fragment in a newbie zone? That meant one thing. This region was more valuable than average. Possibly a future strategic war zone. His instincts sharpened immediately. The ruins here were not random beginner scraps. They were deliberate progression catalysts, which meant stronger lords would inevitably emerge nearby. And strong lords eventually became rivals. As dusk approached, a fresh scout report arrived. This one far more important. "My lord, human lord patrol sighted near Eastern Shrine sector. Estimated 30 militia. Black Iron Rank 2 average. Commander estimated rank 4. Ayaan slowly looked toward the eastern forest. So, a real nearby rival had finally stepped onto the board. Not chat messages. Not trade windows. Not system projections. Real human soldiers. Close enough to contest ruin zones. He did not panic. He calculated. 30 rank 2 militia, with 1 rank for leader. Against even 10 of his Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers. The result would be absolute. But open conflict now would reveal too much too early. So instead, Ayaan gave a far more dangerous order. Shadow them. Learn territory location. Do not engage. The soldiers vanished into the darkening forest. This was the true beginning of regional dominance. Not through reckless war, but through information supremacy. Find the rival's base. Measure their development. Track their resource routes. Discover their blind spots. Then decide when to crush them. As moonlight settled over the forest and the patrol squads moved like ghosts between ancient trees, Ayaan stood in silence atop his tower. The first monster wave was still days away, but human competition had officially begun. And unlike monsters, humans could lie, humans could scheme, humans could unite, which made them far more valuable as enemies. A faint smile touched Ayaan's lips. Good. Now the game had finally become interesting.
Night had barely faded when the Shadow Patrol returned. 10 Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers stepped silently through the eastern gate, their movements smooth, disciplined, and utterly devoid of fatigue despite operating through the entire night. Ayaan was already waiting inside the Watchtower command room. The moment the squad captain kneeled, the memory transmission from the Infinite Legion system unfolded before him like a moving battlefield map. The eastern rival had been found, a territory located approximately 7 kilometers from Ayaan's outer perimeter, nestled against a rocky hillside and protected by a shallow river bend. The enemy base was still only Black Iron Rank 3. Its wooden walls were uneven. Only one watch platform had been completed. The farmland was small and clearly underdeveloped. Smoke from cooking fires drifted lazily upward, revealing a critical weakness. Their soldiers still required food, still required sleep, still required morale, still required human leadership. Ayaan studied every detail in silence. 32 militia, mostly Black Iron Rank 2, 1 Rank 4 captain, a handful of frightened villagers, minimal traps, poor eastern visibility, no rear defensive route, a textbook weak Lord territory. The rival Lord himself soon appeared in the memory feed, a young man in rough iron armor, standing near the central territory core while angrily questioning his subordinates. How did the shrine ruin get clear before us? So this was him, Darius Kane, aggressive temperament, low emotional control, likely pride-driven, still trapped in direct survival mindset. Ayaan's first real human rival, and already predictable. He replayed the memories several times, not to admire the weakness, but to locate future breaking points. Food routes, scout habits, night guard rotations, blind forest approach paths, even the river crossing depth. Every detail was quietly committed to memory. The answer was obvious. He could erase Darius's entire territory tonight. 10 Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers would be enough. 5 if he wanted efficiency. But destroying him now would be wasteful. A living rival was far more useful than a dead one. Darius could continue clearing low-value monster zones, continue gathering basic resources, continue exposing regional ruins, continue drawing attention away from Ayaan. He was, in essence, free labor, a disposable development pawn. Ayaan leaned back slightly, mind already restructuring the next 3 days. Instead of direct conquest, he chose something more dangerous. Manipulation. The Lord system opened before him. A direct private channel was established. Private communication request Darius Kane. Accepted. The projection of Darius appeared, his expression tense and irritated. Before the man could speak, Ayaan calmly began. Eastern Shrine ruin was dangerous. Your militia losses would have been severe. Darius's eyes widened slightly. He clearly hadn't expected Ayaan to speak first, or to know. So it was you, Darius muttered. Ayaan's tone remained level. Your current troop strength is not enough for contested ruins. Focus your soldiers on southern wolf zones and river resources. Better returns. Less risk. Silence. Darius's pride visibly struggled against logic. Ayaan had already predicted this, so he pushed further. I can provide future ruin intelligence in exchange for map data on southern sectors. There it was. The bait. A weak lord's greed mixed with survival instinct. Darius hesitated only a few seconds. Fine. The channel closed. Ayaan allowed himself a faint smile. Perfect. Without realizing it, Darius had just become his regional exploration proxy, a disposable scout network. Any southern ruins discovered by Darius would eventually flow back through map trades. Meanwhile, Ayaan's own soldiers would dominate the north, east, and central ruin sectors. Complete directional resource monopoly. By morning, additional shadow squads had already begun trailing Darius's patrol routes. This was no longer mere surveillance. It was full intelligence farming. By midday, the results were immediate. Southern hills, stone quarry location, minor bronze or traces, wolf den cluster, ruin signal post coordinates, all delivered indirectly through Darius's traded map feed. Ayaan had lost nothing, gained everything. Meanwhile, the Newbie group chat descended further into paranoia. Someone's been clearing ruins before us every time. How are people already finding stone walls? My soldiers keep dropping morale below 60 after night patrols. I heard one lord already has watchtowers and farms upgraded. No way anyone survives first wave at this pace. The gap was becoming impossible to hide. And that was good, because the more chaos spread among the weaker lords, the less anyone would realize one person was quietly controlling the entire ruin economy. As evening approached, another critical report arrived. A second rival lord territory had been sighted farther north, larger than Darius, estimated black iron rank 4, and most importantly, their scouts had already reached the northern relay ruin sector. Ayaan's gaze slowly lifted toward the northern forest, so the board was expanding. More players were entering, stronger ones, smarter ones. The regional balance was beginning to form. He looked once more at Darius's territory map projection, floating in the dim tower room, a disposable pawn in the east, a new unknown rival in the north, ruins still hidden in the west, monster wave approaching in a few days, and Newbie protection slowly ticking toward its end. The region had finally evolved beyond simple survival. Now it had become a game of territory chess, and Ayaan Voidcrest had just taken control of the center board. The seventh day dawned beneath heavy gray clouds. The forest had grown quieter, not safer, quieter, a silence born from overhunting, expanded patrol routes, and the invisible pressure of multiple lords pushing against the limits of their beginner zones. From the top of his black iron rank 5 fortress, Ayaan Voidcrest studied the newly updated regional map projection. The eastern sector was stable. Darius Kane continued acting exactly as expected. His militia sweeping southern wolf zones, quarry routes, and river crossings before sending partial coordinates through their growing intelligence trade. Every report strengthened Ayaan's invisible control over the eastern half of the region. The western ruin chain was nearly monopolized. Only 2 unexplored markers remained, but it was the north that now demanded his full attention. A newly confirmed lord territory. Black iron rank 4, larger farmland, better wall symmetry, improved trap spacing, 2 completed watch platforms, highly disciplined patrol routes. This was no emotional rookie like Darius. This was a lord with structure, a lord with planning, a lord capable of becoming dangerous. The name arrived moments later through Celine Voss's outer intelligence feed. Lucian Vale. Ayaan repeated the name silently, then opened the surveillance memory shard recovered from the northern relay ruins. Lucian's patrol team moved through the ancient stone paths with precision far above average newbie standards. 20 soldiers, mostly black iron rank 3, 2 rank 4 elites, and 1 rank 5 commander, already far ahead of most beginner lords. More importantly, they had reached the ruin only 11 minutes after Ayaan's own clearing squad left. 11 minutes. Close. Far too close. For the first time since awakening, Ayaan recognized something valuable. Competition. A real strategist. His eyes remained calm, but internally his mind accelerated. Lucian's development pattern revealed a specialized build, disciplined military focus, slower population growth, stronger elite troop quality, efficient ruin prioritization, excellent scouting routes, a dangerous long-term rival, not because he was stronger now, but because he was efficient enough to survive long enough to grow. Ayaan immediately revised the next phase of expansion. The remaining northern ruins could no longer be casually explored. They had become contested objectives. He deployed 3 rapid-clear squads of Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers, 30 units per team. Their orders: reach the remaining ruins before Lucian, clear all monsters instantly, extract every fragment, leave no traceable route. The squads vanished into the northern forest like black arrows. By noon, the first major clash of regional ambition occurred, not between armies, between timing. One of Lucian's patrol groups reached the broken signal bastion ruin only to find the monsters already dead. Black Iron Rank 4 stone lizards, a Rank 5 alpha, all eliminated with surgical precision, and the ruin chest already opened. Lucian's men found nothing except fresh corpse trails. A single boot mark, one of Ayaan's soldiers. Minimal, intentional. A message. Somebody faster existed. Back in his tower, Ayaan received the extraction report. Recovered. Watchtower Evolution Fragment X2. Bronze Ore Trace Map X1. Advanced Beacon Fire Blueprint Fragment X1. The moment his eyes landed on the bronze trace map, his breathing slowed. Bronze. The first true rank beyond beginner Black Iron progression. This changed everything. A bronze resource inside the outer northern hills meant this Newbie region was hiding a future bronze tier strategic corridor, which explained Lucian's aggressive northern pressure. He had likely sensed it too. Now the race was no longer about beginner survival. It was about future rank ascension positioning. The Lord System group chat exploded again by afternoon. Who keeps clearing the ruins first? Northern Bastion got emptied before a squad arrived. I lost 6 soldiers to stone lizard for nothing. Someone's dominating the entire ruin chain. Is there a top-tier lord in our region? A faint smile touched Ayaan's lips. The answer was yes, and Lucian was starting to realize it. As evening settled, a private message arrived. Not from Darius, not from Celine, from Lucian Vale himself. Private channel request, Lucian Vale. Ayaan accepted. The projection that appeared was exactly what he expected. A calm young man with sharp silver eyes, dressed in reinforced leather over iron plating. Every detail suggesting discipline over pride. Lucian spoke first. You are the one clearing the northern ruins ahead of everyone. Not a question. A conclusion. Ayaan respected that. So he answered with equal calm. You're fast. Lucian's gaze sharpened. You're faster. Silence stretched between them. Not hostile. Measured. 2 strategists evaluating the board. Then Lucian said the most important sentence yet. The northern hills contain something beyond Black Iron progression, don't they? Ayaan did not answer directly. Instead, he replied, the first monster wave is close. Any lord wasting troops on ruin races right now is a fool. Lucian stared for a moment, then gave a slow nod. He understood the hidden meaning. Temporary restraint. Focus on defense. Race resumes later. The projection vanished. Interesting. Lucian was not a pawn like Darius. He was a rival worth keeping alive. At least for now. That night, as thunder rolled beyond the northern hills and the first scent of rain touched the forest air, Ayaan stood alone atop the highest tower. Darius in the east. Lucian in the north. Celine feeding intelligence from the outer trade ring. Bronze clues hidden in the hills. Monster wave approaching. Newbie protection nearing its final days. The region was no longer chaotic. It was organizing itself around power centers. And Ayaan Voidcrest stood at the center of them all. But for the first time since arriving in this world, someone else had finally looked back across the chessboard and understood there was another king in play. The 8th day arrived under an unnatural stillness. Even the forest seemed to know. No wolves prowled the outer shadows. No scavenger birds circled above the hills. Even the usual insect hum that filled the evening air had faded into an oppressive silence. Across the entire Newbie region, every lord had reached the same conclusion. The first monster wave was close. Inside Black Iron Rank 5 territory, however, that silence was met not with fear, but with relentless preparation. From dawn until dusk, Ayaan Voidcrest fortress transformed again. The stone wall blueprint fragments recovered over the previous days had finally reached completion. Under Ayaan command, hundreds of Black Iron Rank 9 soldiers dismantled portions of the outer wooden palisade and replaced them with reinforced blackstone sections around the most vulnerable approaches. The northern wall, where Lucian scouts had previously approached the ruined chain, became the strongest fortified zone. Arrow towers were upgraded with layered firing platforms. The basic spike trap blueprint evolved into a full 3-line kill corridor outside the eastern gate. The ruined watchtower fragments were merged into an advanced observation post, extending visible scouting range far beyond ordinary Lord standards. Now Ayaan could monitor monster movement nearly 4 kilometers beyond his walls. No surprise assault would ever reach him unannounced. Even the villagers had changed. The fear and confusion of the first day were gone. Under the absolute protection of his soldiers and the visible rise of the territory, morale had transformed into something stronger. Belief. Farmers worked the expanded fields calmly. Blacksmith villagers used a doubled iron output to reinforce spearheads and arrow tips. Children carried stone fragments for inner storage construction. This was no longer a struggling beginner territory. It was becoming a military settlement. And at its center stood a lord who had planned for this exact moment since the day he arrived. The Lord System group chat, by contrast, had become pure chaos. Messages flooded endlessly. My troop morale dropped after yesterday's patrol. Do monsters attack in waves or all at once? I only have 40 rank 1 militia. How high should walls be? Does anyone know if Black Iron rank 5 monsters appear in first wave? I'm willing to trade all my iron for food. I think my southern perimeter is too wide to defend. Ayaan calmly reviewed every line. Panic was now exposing everyone's weaknesses openly. Food shortages, low morale, poor walls, insufficient patrol coverage, overextended territories. This information would matter later, far more than they realized. A private message then arrived from Lucian Vale. Short, efficient, exactly as expected. Lucian asterisk, northern ruin suspended until post-wave. Ayaan replied just as simply. Ayaan asterisk, agreed, monster pressure first. A temporary cold peace. No alliance, no trust, just mutual acknowledgement between two strategists who understood priorities. Then another message arrived. This one from Darius Kane. Chaotic, angry, exactly as expected. One of my militia teams was wiped in the southern Wolf Gorge. Those ruins should have been ours. Ayaan's eyes narrowed slightly. So Darius had made the predictable mistake. Instead of consolidating defense before the wave, he had overextended for greed. His southern patrol losses meant weaker wall defense, lower morale, fewer night guards, a cracked eastern pawn. Useful. Ayaan sent only one response. Focus your walls. Ignore ruins now. Whether Darius listened no longer mattered. His role on the board had already changed. He was no longer a proxy. He was now a pressure point. By nightfall, the final layer of defenses had been completed. Outer spike corridors, stone wall reinforcement, double-height northern towers, emergency inner fallback barricades, reserve archer platforms, trap trigger choke, zones hidden beneath brush. Ayaan climbed the newly evolved watchtower alone. From this height, the forest beyond the territory stretched into darkness beneath a sky thick with storm clouds. And then he saw it. Movement. Far beyond the 4-kilometer vision line. Tiny red sparks. Pairs. Then dozens. Monster eyes. Gathering. Waiting. The wave was organizing. His advanced watchtower instantly fed data through the system. Estimated outer movement. Wolf packs. Stone lizards. Corrupted boars. Mixed black iron rank 2 to 4 signatures. Several rank 5 alpha clusters. Still within expected beginner parameters. Not enough. Not for him. But enough to erase weaker lords. Ayaan's expression remained calm. This first wave would not be a battle. It would be a regional reset. The weak would fall. The prepared would rise. And the true rulers of this region would be decided tonight. As midnight approached, the sky split with distant thunder. Then, the world itself trembled. A massive system notification erupted across the sky like burning crimson text. Newbie protection ends in 1 hour. First monster wave countdown initiated. All lords prepare for territory trial. At the exact same moment, a deep horn blast echoed across the endless forest. Ancient, heavy, world-shaking. The sound rolled over mountains, rivers, ruins, and territories alike. A call older than kingdoms. A declaration that beginner peace was over. The first true night of survival had arrived. Ayaan stood atop the tower, black cloak moving in the storm wind. Eyes locked onto glowing red lights multiply in the darkness beyond his walls. Then the second horn sounded. Closer, much closer, and from the forest below, the first howl answered. The third horn shattered the night, and the forest moved. From beyond the outer darkness, countless red eyes ignited like embers in a sea of black. Then the first wave emerged. Black iron wolves burst from the tree line in packs of 20 and 30, their bodies low and fast, jaws dripping under flashes of lightning. Behind them came stone lizards, their armored backs glinting beneath the storm. Corrupted boars smashed through undergrowth like living battering rams. And weaving between them all were the unmistakable larger silhouettes of black iron rank 5 alpha beasts. Across the entire Newbie region, screams, battle cries, and collapsing walls began echoing to the system channels. But inside Ayaan Voidcrest's fortress, not a single soul panicked, because his battlefield had already been won 6 days ago. The moment the first wolves entered the eastern approach, the outer three-line kill corridor activated. The ground exploded upward. Rows of concealed spikes tore through the charging front lines, instantly reducing the first wolf packs into bloody chaos. Before the survivors could recover, the arrow towers opened fire. Black-feathered volleys rained from above with machine-like precision. Every shot found a target. Every kill created new disorder. The wave had not even reached the walls before its momentum shattered. Then Ayaan raised one hand, and the gates opened. 300 black iron rank 9 soldiers surged out in perfect formation, spearmen in front, sword infantry in rotating wedges, archers splitting into high-angle suppression teams, reserve squads guarding the fallback line. No shouting, no hesitation, no fear, only flawless execution. The wolves died first. The rank 2 and rank 3 beasts were little more than moving experience fodder against elite rank 9 units. Stone lizards attempted to force the northern wall. They were intercepted by rotating heavy squads and crushed beneath disciplined spear thrust formations. Corrupted boars charged the western gate and triggered secondary pitfall traps before being finished by elevated archer fire. The battlefield became a masterpiece of systematic extermination. Ayaan stood atop the tower, issuing small adjustments through the Infinite Legion interface. Shift Squad 7 West. Reinforce Northern Choke. Rotate archers. Preserve arrow reserves. Push melee line 10 meters outward. His soldiers responded instantly. This was the true terror of absolute loyalty combined with elite rank advantage. Elsewhere, the region was not so fortunate. The Lord System emergency chat flooded with desperation. My south wall broke. We can't stop the boars. Morale collapse. My militia are retreating. Someone help. Black Iron rank 5 alpha breached the farm. We're losing villagers. Among the endless panic, one report stood out. Darius Kane, Eastern Sector Emergency Distress. Ayaan opened the combat feed. Darius's southern greed had become fatal. The weakened wall section in the Wolf Gorge had collapsed under repeated alpha strikes. His militia numbers, already reduced from reckless ruin greed, could not hold. The rank 4 captain was down. Villagers were evacuating toward the inner core. Darius himself fought desperately at the breach, but his formation was broken. A cracked pawn indeed. Ayaan considered for less than 2 seconds, then sent a single squad of 20 Black Iron rank 9 soldiers, not to save Darius, to preserve the Eastern Information Node. The result was immediate. The Alpha Wolves that had nearly overrun the breach were cut apart in moments. The remaining beast packs scattered under overwhelming rank suppression. Darius stared in visible disbelief as the black-armored soldiers erased what his militia had failed to stop. He looked toward the dark forest, knowing exactly whose hand had intervened. Good. Debt created leverage. Meanwhile, the northern sector report from Lucian arrived. As expected. Stable. minimal casualties, strong wall discipline, efficient elite troop rotation. Lucian had survived through competence, not luck. Excellent. A rival worth measuring. Back at Ayaan's own battlefield, the final stage of the first wave emerged. A massive Black Iron rank 5 dire alpha wolf stepped from the forest shadows, larger than a horse, dark fur glistening with rain, eyes burning crimson. The true commander the beast tied. It roared once, and every lesser beast surged in frenzy. Ayaan's eyes sharpened. Now, this was at least mildly interesting. He issued only one command. Elite Execution Squad. Advance. 10 Black Iron rank 9 soldiers stepped forward. No more were needed. The dire alpha lunged like lightning, crushing stone beneath its paws. But the execution squad split flawlessly. 2 baited the frontal leap for severed rear tendons. 2 archers fired directly into the exposed eye line. And the final pair drove Black Iron spears through the throat as momentum collapsed. The beast died less than 6 seconds after entering combat range. Silence followed. Then the remaining monsters broke. The tide collapsed. Surviving beasts fled back into the storm-dark forest, their morale shattered by overwhelming suppression. A massive golden system glow erupted above the battlefield. First monster wave cleared. Regional ranking update initiated. Top contribution: Ayaan Voidcrest, rank 1. Rewards issued. The reward list unfolded. Black Iron Elite Chest X3. Rare Soldier Evolution Token X1. Territory Prosperity plus 200. Regional Fame plus 300. Monster Core X17. Black Iron Alpha Fawn X1. The villagers erupted into cheers. For them, this was not merely survival. It was proof their lord was invincible. But Ayaan's gaze was not on the battlefield. It was on the final reward, the Rare Soldier Evolution Token, a system item capable of evolving one soldier unit beyond standard Black Iron progression, toward bronze. His eyes slowly lifted toward the northern hills, toward Lucian's bronze clues, toward the future war corridor hidden beyond beginner lands. And then the final notification appeared, a Crimson World alert. Regional barrier weakening. Bronze beast activity detected beyond northern hills. Second territory trial approaching. Thunder exploded overhead. The storm intensified. And in the distant darkness beyond the northern mountains, something far larger than the first wave let out a roar.